Well, I don't know. I think we might have to kind of make a start and then see what happens.
Great.
What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Christy. I love the car thing. There's definitely a whole paper in cars and Zoom meetings.
I'm sorry. I think I might put video on so I can start. All right, let's make a start.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. It is good to meet family as well, family of colleagues. I love that part of Zoom. And can I say hi to, is that Jordan over there as well? Welcome to the Zoom. So welcome to the December Learning Circle. This is on behalf of the Australian Association for Environmental Education Board and the Learning Circle program. Welcome to the last Learning Circle of 2020. Thank you for joining in. Yuma, hello in Ngunnawal language. I'm in Canberra, and that means I'm on Ngunnawal land. Small way to pay respects to the traditional owners and custodians, pay respects to elders past, present and emerging on the lands where we all are, where we live and work. My name's Jodie Green. I'm a volunteer on the A Squared E Squared National Board and the ACT chapter as well. And as I said, today is the last Learning Circle of 2020, and what a topic we have. So I'm really just going to give a very brief introduction, name the topic title, and our wonderful panelists will then take it from there and give you a bit more info. So we have Sarah and Edith Crinall. Is that how you pronounce your surname? And Simone.
You're on mute, Sarah.
And Simone and Xanthia Blom as well. Thank you for putting this amazing topic together. So we have a place with no time. Says everything about 2020, the sustenance of living beyond clock time during COVID-19. I've been so excited to see what you're going to say about this. I think it speaks to everyone's experience. So thank you very much and welcome everybody.
Thank you, Jodie.
Thanks, Jodie.
Hi again to Gillian, and hey, Christy.
Hey. Hello.
Christy's got Jordan's phone, but this is Christy. She's homeschooling on Phillip Island as well. Well, hi everyone, and thanks so much for coming along and joining in. Here we all are in a place with no time. We're the time team, and we're very eager to do the rework on adult-child relations as a research group. And we had a real chance to chat about time during the 2020 pandemic, and we wrote a paper about it. So today we've been invited by the Australian Association of Environmental Education series to speak a little bit about our paper. The series is for teachers, philosophers and family members, and we are all those things. And here on the webinar, it's great to see all those people too, teachers, philosophers and family members. And I think the thing that threads us all together is that we share a planetary pair of eyes on a life of sustenance, and we're asking together what creates this. And this is really a question that threads us through our days, isn't it? Not necessarily with a finite answer. The last thing I wanted to say before passing it on to the time team to say hello was that we're so excited to share our story, and in doing so along the way, we want to open up the same questions for you that we've asked ourselves, to make room for you to explore your own versions of time with your bodies and your surroundings involved. If anything, we'd love to just together stretch time strands out and get a glimpse at clock time as one strand of time only. So hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, I'm Edie. I'm Xanthia.
And I'm Simone.
You want to read this, Ed?
No, you read it.
Please feel free to mute out and turn the videos off to treat us like a radio. But we also invite full involvement and welcome conversation along the way. In lieu of the conversation, we've prepared a pretty full meditation on our paper for you all. I'd like to begin by acknowledging first and foremost our children, present and emerging, and their right to know their places and to be with their bodies in their places.
We want to acknowledge the Bunurong and their elders here, past, present and emerging.
And the custodians of this Bundjalung country that Xanthia and I speak from and are called upon to be with the elders here, past, present and emerging. And those who were held to restricted movements during the 2020 pandemic lockdowns in Victoria and South Australia.
Yeah.
So this last acknowledgement is for those who entered extreme lockdown, and we see that this was both a clock down too. Melbourne has just emerged from 3 months of lockdown restrictions that kept people within 5 kilometres of home and restricted to whom they saw and when. The clock time space jail was real. Home and time will have multiple various alternate shapes and feels from this that contrast with our experience. What we offer is our experience, the lived lives of 2 families written before the intense lockdowns of spring in Victoria and South Australia, written during the first Australia-wide lockdown in March and April 2020. Haraway in 2016 proposed a staying with the trouble as a way of confronting that which discomforts us and dwelling in the trouble or the mess to feel the huge monsters we are creating rather than resist or deny what is going on. So if we stay with the trouble, the imposition, the pressure and the density of time, what does it reveal?
There is no time. What was our motivation to hold this webinar? Us and other children and the place and time they live and will live, present and emerging. Our call to question any lost breath and rushing. First and foremost, this work has been listening to us as children who live lives with clocks. Our words begin the webinar to acknowledge that listening and responding to us, the children, is the commitment of us all. We all chatted and had lots of conversations with each other about time during Covid-19 lockdown. Simone and Xanthia asked us about it and got us talking. Once I asked Mum about a saying I've heard. I was thinking about COVID and how lives were being lost. I'd heard many people say there's always tomorrow. But I said to Mum, there is not necessarily always a tomorrow. I thought better to live a full life today.
Yeah, when Xanthia and Simone brought up that there was no time, Edie and I stumbled, we were just having a walk, and we realised, oh, if there's no time, there would be no ages. And that was a sad moment, wasn't it? Because we realised there'd be no birthday parties, and that'd be sad. And I remember talking with Xanthia and Sim about that. It did lead to a conversation, though, a much richer one, and that brought us to talk about the clock time jail. And we gathered some of the words from those conversations back and forth of the under 18s. So here's some of them are in a word string, call it.
If I wasn't my age, there is no time.
This morning we had breakfast at a park bench, sitting outside 2 old train carriages where we'd spent the night before. I was sharing how sometimes, quite often, I feel trapped at the dinner table, like I have to sit there to be polite or something, when often I just want to move on.
I don't feel like that. I just got up and went and played with our dog Max.
It feels different being an adult, like you should stay there.
It is because adults think kids get restless.
Yes. And adults think that kids won't get the conversation, so they let them go and do kids' things. Funny how there are all these things that are restricted to our age. It is not a thing in the physical, material sense of an object, but this unseen, unwritten code of things that are exclusive to one or the other.
We have written back to your if it wasn't my age, kids can be really free. adults expect kids to go play. That freedom, sometimes they expect us to play a bit too much sometimes. And if we want to join in on the conversation, they treat us like go play.
Go play. Yeah, they go play. I remember you saying that. I'd like to be included, he said. You want to read on it?
I'd like to be included. If a lot of adults are conversing, I want to join in. They quietly make me get out. Yeah, that is new to me. I see and adults speak differently to each other in lots of laughs.
Yeah, I think I'll do this. Then I wrote, we would need to speak differently with kids. They speak differently to kids. They speak to people a younger age. They're not interested. I asked you, is there any adult who's listening? Do you remember what you said? You said you, yeah. So that was a mix of our children's and our words, and the paper was made up of lots of strings of those dialogues. And on this slide, we wanted to share a quantum philosopher. Christy, I think you'll be interested in Karen Barad. We've just started a homeschooling hub that is based on theta brainwaves, and it's based on quantum theory, basically. So in the research world, many people are finding solace in Karen Barad's work to think how we can live in the future and sustain ourselves environmentally with the planet. Barad wrote, in these troubling times, the urgency to trouble time, to shake it to its core, is something so tangible, so visceral, that it can be felt in our individual and our collective body. This urgency is both new and not new.
So we decided during our COVID-19 lockdown to keep chatting specifically about how letting go of time is playing out, where for those in school usually and travelling to work, COVID-19 was agitating structures, providing that opportunity. And it was a great point for our two families to connect and talk about how it felt quite different for us not having the routine of time, which we're going to unpack now, and how for Sarah and Edie it was quite different because they didn't have those same structures in homeschooling. And I'm just going to read a piece from some previous work that Sarah and I had done together. So though trees age more slowly than humans, they have the same time. Scar born from not honouring nature time, the cycles of nature, fixed on social time, pushed by others' time, a reminder to listen more closely to cycles. So in our previous work, we've imparted studies of childhood and nature, motherhood, family and community. This is work where we and others before us, included in the reference list, honour the important role of bodies and the places around them. When writing together, we wrote back and forth, and we did it using a blog. These disruptions of how we were thinking as educators washed somehow through the busyness of doing the work of education into a presence and a stillness with body and surroundings. And it was lovely. So when COVID-19 began and Xanthia asked to join a thread, we decided to do it again, this time with time.
Everyone has their own story of COVID-19 lockdown to tell, of both grief and gratitude. Our webinar is a space to let out a little of ours and make space for you to hear your own.
In the next hour and a half, we hope to have 3 parts. Part 1 will give you a chance to experiment with writing embodied thoughts, and we would love to have conversations about those writings. We want to know and explore, how does the body shift a sense of time? we'd love to hear back from you on your discomfort and revelations on that. So there's the chat feed for that, and we can make space at the end of each go, and it's perfectly fine to keep it private as well.
In part 2, we will return to the paper and our time travels with some philosophy for you to think with sense and respond to.
Thanks, Edie. And then we're going to move into part 3, and we would like to share aspects of that experience during COVID-19 lockdown through the lens of time.
My time, clock time, family and dog time, and no time.
Our time terms, aren't they? Yeah.
Right. So welcome all, and thank you for coming again. And I guess this is where the introduction turns a little bit more conversational. Christy, do you have a pen and paper, or you've got your phone? Do a bit of writing and your notes. All right. All right. Yeah, here we just want to do some introductions. We have here in this webinar some philosophers and educators and writers on the unschooling paradigm. So that's Christy writes quite regularly on unschooling and the effects on bodies and places and children. We have dog lovers and more. Philosophy and pedagogy are often segregated and mystifying, and we hope to speak plainly both ways. So we're really hoping here to speak with the philosophy of research world, but to speak into the world of parents and teachers and all of us working day to day to just live family lives with connection.
And parents and grandparents.
And parents.
But who are parents still. So to those who undo the structures that have done up around us, and those who educate with and outside of those structures, we ask you all to ponder as we go. How does letting go of time play out in how we make meaning and in what we have access to knowing, and how we grow while on this planet? How would letting go of time play out in a school setting, in the classroom, in a working week, in a home setting? What does it feel like for you as an educator, and what would that bring?
I'd like to read you something I wrote quickly. I wrote it quickly. I'll read it slowly. This is the embodied practice of philosophy and pedagogy, and this is really important to me, and I try not to write any other way. When I do, I find what I'm writing is often what I'm expected to write rather than my truth. So I wrote one just now. Cool toes, hot tea eyes, phantom walking on the deck, a place with no time calls and I wait, letting out my breath. In my research with Margaret Somerville, she wrote body landscape journals, and in my PhD, I wrote it as a conversation with her. I guess it's my interpretation of what a body landscape journal would be. It's to write always beginning with the body, and then pay attention to what's the body is sensing surrounding, and then let thoughts emerge from there with any questions I've got, whatever I'm pondering on a more cognitive level. Now, there's a little bit of background here on what body place time is, which is basically when I wrote my PhD this way, using the body and sensing place, I noticed time felt different. I just felt like I was going into a zone that was really sustaining, and I can quite, there's Pa. I could quite honestly say I enjoyed every moment of my PhD, and the stressful times were just involved with handing it in and a clock time deadline at the end. But I never thought about it or developed theory while I was thinking day to day, except I just sat down and let it come out when I was writing. It was beautiful. And it's nice to be able to share here that process. Thanks, Xanthia. Oh, is there a bit for me to read here? A space of conscious attention during the acts of making is a space of body, place, time. Looking between the bodies and places for messy encounters, I find this a nourishing body, place, time.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
To begin before the embodied thinking, and what we would like to ask you, what is your current sense of time? For example, how do you feel time now through the communication of your body? Present in contentment, anxious in displacement, or perhaps detimement or disbodiment?
Do you want to go back for a minute? I was wondering if anyone wanted to talk to about their sense of time right now. No pressure if you don't want to, but you could put it in the chat or hop on the mic if you wanted to.
I'm feeling an urgency to find my pen. Revert to digital modes.
Here, you can borrow mine.
I'm feeling the urgency to become a passenger in the car right now rather than the driver. So I'm going to do that. We've just had a massive rain cloud pass over, and so your stream of words on time happened here at the same time as the rain. You know, it changes the intensity at the beginning and then there's the middle, and I think we've got the end, and the clouds are. That just the whole the time issue this year with COVID and the beginning of the year with the fires and the hail brought attention to the, for me, I'm a parent of older children now, 15 and 20. And although I can well remember time moving different ways when our children are younger, I'm just much more noticing nature time, so cloud time, rain time, sunrise time, sunset time, those things are much more. And I've just found out I'm teaching next year in a classroom, and already what would seem like 6 to 8 weeks is quite a long stretch of time. It already feels very short. just the thought of that change that's coming up next year, and it's just all those interesting things. Thank you so much for all the things you've already said. Now I'm going to get into the passenger seat.
Oh, I've written that down, the sort of time coming up and how it makes it feel so much quicker. It loses time. Thanks, Jodie.
Thanks, Jodie.
I can share my thoughts right now. And Sarah, you've made me question clock time a lot more lately. And I've actually noticed within myself, if I have to be accountable to clock time, that's where most of the stresses in my life kind of sit. And this is referring to me with my kids during the day. If we have to be somewhere at a certain time, or I feel like that's where a lot of stress comes up. Whereas if we're not bothered by clock time and we're taking no notice of it, things just seem to flow a lot better, and we're just not as stressed, I guess. That's just what popped into my head right then, and it's been on my mind a bit lately. And yeah, we've got to go out for dinner tonight, so I'm thinking about that and what time I'm going to have to get back, and thinking about the clock. But when I don't have to be anywhere for dinner, I don't care what time dinner is. We just eat when we're hungry. So yeah, that's my current sense of time.
It's very beautiful to hear that. I feel that tension a lot, and particularly with deadlines and due dates, and it makes sense that a structure that's outside of the human body, which is designed in I guess in its most pure and basic form, to align with the cycles of nature, which is, yeah, eat when you're hungry, not because the clock tells you to,
That's right.
is very beautiful. And the more I kind of keep playing with it and go with the impulses of the body, the more it aligns with time anyway. It's quite magical. Sometimes you might go, oh, jeeps, I'm running 10 minutes late or 15 minutes late, but then you arrive exactly on time in terms of what's needed. Maybe other people are late, or you know, it's very fun to play with, and it sounds like you're doing that.
I think back to the dinner time, the table time that you were explaining with Xanthia, and also how we sit down and have dinner with the kids, but they might not be hungry, but there's that expectation that you should eat your dinner because, you know, it's dinner time, and we're all at the table.
That's where time really reaches out and starts to affect bodies, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
And not listening to them so much as dictating to them what you will do to them.
Yeah, spot on there.
Yeah.
Did you want to share anything yet, Jill?
Not really, Sim. No, I'm just happy to listen.
Okay.
I don't really have any deadlines or anything like that. So I don't, being my age and what I do, I don't feel any stress about time.
Right.
Yeah, so that's nice.
That's where
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep moving then. Thanks, Jill.
That's all right.
Is Edie still around?
She's not. She's petered off. Let me just do a quick call into her. She's keen to be involved. One sec.
Some paper.
She's happy for me to take over for a moment. All right. Well, this is a very way too rigid formula for the embodied practice of body place blogging, I called it in my PhD, and I just scrambled notes on a blog in between breastfeeding or while breastfeeding, with a sleeping child on me, sometimes on a walk, whenever I felt like it. And I'd love to give you a chance to have a try. Probably the first thing, and we haven't mentioned this, is to have a question in mind, or just take a moment to be aware of what we've just talked about. That's swimming around in that cognitive space. So the idea is to take up a pen with paper or open a plain page on the computer screen. And either listening to my voice or your own voice and your own urge, follow this writing pattern. Or, the or with ... dots is really important. If you want to write 2 lines about your body, we write 2 lines about your body. If nothing occurs to you about the surroundings and you go straight to a thought, let's write a thought. But as a general pattern, write down something that you notice about your body now. Don't worry about grammar. No one's checking it. Doesn't even need to make grammatical sense. Conventional sense. Write something that you notice about the surrounding place. Write another thing you notice about your body. And then perhaps you've got a thought, something that's been on your mind or something you're querying about. See what comes out about that. This one can be long. Ask yourself a question and answer it. Notice the place. And your body. Okay, press enter. I'm finished. And it can go on and on. It's not an end. There's quite a rhythm that builds up. Well, perhaps while we're waiting for some of you to finish, just in the interest of clock time. Well, I'll read mine. I don't, because we're in a public setting, I don't do more than one thing very, very well at a time. So I don't know what I wrote and I'm pretty interested to go back. Usually I'm in a zone where I'm really conscious of what I'm writing. So I'm happy to share. Leg out straight, goes, toes do a wiggle. Chatting generations are next door. Dad's talking to my kids. A breath comes in and a breath comes out. I'm really wondering how everyone's finding this. Does it work? Is it meant to work straight away? Maybe it's just meant to be a start and a spark, something that builds over time. They're still chortling like songbirds next door, and I'm sitting here still.
I'll have a read. Shoulders hunched, calves tight, integrating light, heart, warmth. Sweaty, hot space. Lost time, prickly skin. Lovely to be here with you. Open heart, shoulders peeling back.
Can you see me all right?
Yeah,
when I talk?
Yeah.
Because I've had it down, so I don't have to hold it up, but hold it up. I've felt relaxed, very relaxed. And the space around me is 4 walls, and then I'm feeling a little bit of tension in my neck and shoulders, which is common for me. but let go, relax them. Then my breathing in and out, lovely peaceful feeling. And what was the other thing? I haven't got a pen, so I'm just remembering it. I think that's all. Yeah. Oh, that's right. The tiredness around my eyes, because I have chronic fatigue, and it's nice not to feel it too much, just a little bit of tiredness around my eyes, but because I'm sitting and relaxing, it's the best thing for me. Yeah. So it's like I can just feel my body and the breath going in and out. So it's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll read mine. Okay. Shaking too much coffee, but warm the heart feels. Windy, trees are dancing with the wind. Cracked a smile on my face from looking at the trees. Lost sense of time looking at the trees. Now I have a sense of time again. Place on our block of land, 2 acres of bush, some of bush. Bum on chair amongst the bush. Feels homely even though there's no home. Deep breath in. Noticing my breathing, I open my mouth more to let more oxygen in.
Thanks, Christy.
We would love to know, how did this play out for you?
So how did you find that exercise? Which parts were easy, which parts were challenging? And again, you don't have to respond, but if you want to share anything.
I like it.
Yeah.
I found the body bit easy at the start after I noticed like the first 1 or 2 things, and then after that I was sort of like, oh, what else is my body feeling? And I think I was just overthinking it almost.
Right.
You know, and when you said wiggle your toes or your leg was tense, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a body thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That reminds me, I felt a little uneasy with it, because for me it's much more fluid than that when I do the writing with my research.
Yeah.
And I don't have the rules whether it's body, play, thought in any particular order. Once all that's out of the way, yeah, sometimes my body doesn't have much to say too. And sometimes, if I've been doing it a lot lately, when I'm filling up petrol, or if I'm at the dinner table with the family and there's no pen or paper or computer, my brain writes them. So I come to actually notice my body more. But it's definitely that's something that happens as a practice over time. And you're reminding me, Christy, of what it was like at the beginning, I guess, to like someone saying, oh, your body's got more than one feeling, really?
Yeah, that was it. It's just really being mindful, isn't it?
Yeah.
We like to call it bodyful.
Bodyful.
Bodyful, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a good one. Who wants to be mindful? Full of mind.
I've got enough full of mind. Definitely love being bodyful.
The mind's important. I think having the thoughts there is on purpose. That this practice is meant to be like mindfulness, where you escape thought or escape the world even. For me, this was very much, I wanted to be in the world with my body. And I wanted to be in academic writing and thought with my body. And I'm really curious to know how that works for others. And Simone and I started to do it back and forth to each other, and that's how these papers are written. So yeah, mind not taking over, but no mind prejudice.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Because usually a lot of it just starts from the thought, doesn't it, rather than the body.
Yeah. Yeah, like bodies and thoughts, or bodies and minds, are two separate binary things. This allows them to be working together. Did anyone find that? Or is that a true statement for anyone else other than me?
No, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Mm. And it's amazing how much agency we can give our bodies when we start to listen and respond to our bodies and get really sensitive to the detail that they're communicating. It's quite often in environmental education, we look to the outside of nature and we forget that we've got our very own nature right here to enjoy. Yeah.
Very true.
Xanthia, is there anything you want to add before we go to part 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, let's do it.
Before we enter part 3, we have part 2. In part 3, we're going to share our COVID experience of different kinds of time beyond clock time. Right now, we would like to offer you some of the philosophies that are swimming right now in education theory. So there are philosophers who are thinking about bodies and they're trying to disrupt the linear progressive sense of time. They're doing that work. They would like schools to be different. And as families, we've been interested in that too, how to disrupt clock time in our families. So this next part is a series of quotes. We don't want to add a narrative. We would like to share them and just leave them with you. This is a little meditative part. If you'd like at any time to keep doing that body full writing, please do. And if nothing comes to you, fine. In these troubling times, the urgency to trouble time, to shake it to its core, is something so tangible, so visceral, that it can be felt in our individual and collective bodies. This urgency is both new and not new.
Yeah, okay. I'm deeply committed to the more modest possibilities of partial recuperation and getting on together. Call that staying with the trouble, our responsibility to the planet. Transformational agendas are not silent about gender or race, but childism is invisible. The identity prejudices are in all phases of education.
That's written by Maris and Borcheds in 2019. Before that was Donna Haraway, a philosopher who's really into multi-species relations. And the first one was Karen Barad, the quantum physicist. The challenge is both to understand the ways in which clocks are embedded in our practices and how they resonate with educators, children, and families, and to imagine ways to rearrange these reverberations. Looking for other ways of working with time, always searching for ways to act with the clocks in their classrooms rather than being acted on by them. Veronica Piccini-Ketcherbau, 2012. Bodies telling the time, or time telling the bodies? Every time we move first from time, we are in effect moving from a social construction and conformity rather than a naturally bodily impulse. We're wondering, what if the body initiated impulse? What if the body initiated impulse enabled you to move aligned to clock time? So to just flesh that one out a little bit, Simone and I had a meeting in prep for this, and Sim didn't check the time. She had a meeting before and she used her body to tell her when to come in, knowing that I'm time safe. I think that's a really crucial term in homeschooling world. We make sure that our friends feel time safe with us so they don't need to arrive on clock time. There's an underlying understanding that they'll come when it feels and flows. But what was really interesting for Simone and I was, Simone arrived 10 minutes after our arranged time, which I didn't notice because I was 10 minutes after the arranged time. I was just settling in on the bed, ready to go when she arrived.
It was funny, and I had the same thing happen last night. We went and had dinner at a friend's house, and I was working, and my body didn't feel to leave. I needed to complete something at work. So I finished, and then I looked at the time and went, oh, hang on. And the time put me into a bit of a rush and a bit of a flurry. And it's a daily practice for me going, don't worry about it. It's going to be okay. And we arrived at dinner exactly the same time as the other guests that were coming for dinner, and the host wasn't bothered at all. We were about 25 minutes late too. It wasn't like we were just a little bit, like it felt significant.
Yeah.
But there was just a shared understanding of everyone that it was fine. It wasn't it wasn't a thing. And I think often we just, for myself anyway, I get a bit attached and fixed to that time for fear of others' reactions to me being late. Obviously also there's a respect thing to it as well, but I think if I'm respecting my body in how it's moving, then I always have to just develop a bit of trust that will then be also felt and respected by the person that I'm meeting with. Did you want to read that other quote too, Sarah?
No. Oh, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Pensa Pacini-Ketchabel wrote in 2008 that a clock hangs high on the classroom wall about a metre below the ceiling. Children move through the room amid the furniture, toys and books. Educators sit on the floor, talking with, playing with, observing the children. At the moment, the clock marks 9:15. The movement shifts. In the paper, they write about the children being engrossed in a book, and then the bell goes and the teacher shuts the book and the kids run out, and it's this strange sense of joy. Both they're enjoying the book and there's the joy of the playtime, and the clock just sliced those two things in half. It had a lot of power, and those two researchers, they really want to name that power and encourage schools to talk with children about how much power the clock has there, and to live with the clock rather than under the clock. So then the next bit's opening it up again. We're still on clock time, and I'm just looking, we've got 40 minutes left. And we've talked about clock time. I feel like it came up earlier when we all shared what our sense of time was. So I want to propose we move a little bit more swiftly through clock time to get to the other times. Thumbs up, wavy thumbs, thumbs down.
Yeah, that's what we're feeling to move to. I agree. Yeah, move. Yeah. And you can read some of this in our paper. And please, if you want to, if you're watching the recording too, you can pause and do another piece of writing through your body. Okay, so another type of time, or another time that we found through our research and through our writing, was my time. And it came around through women working in a moment of solo. Hello, breath and quiet. This breath of quiet and still. Dog digging water splashes out of the water bowl, the disturbance. Today I spoke with a friend about my computer motherboard, and now I hear the hooded plovers shrilling loudly, interrupting the flow time of sleep, slumber time. While we were speaking, I looked out the window at our front garden. I spoke about the ways I purposely draw myself away from nature, sabotaging myself from the flow time of the universe. A red-bellied black snake wove across the path and hid behind the magnolia. It is like I don't want to see or know how I'm poisoning myself so I can stay trapped, just like a blind spot. The snake hiding its poison too, moving away from my home, my body. And that's a section from our paper. My time, what is that is the concept. I've been pondering this morning in the fog, spot the kookaburra on the light and the crows through the valley. Community does not need physical bodies to come together when growing together is becoming together with a withinness that listens inward and outward. Previously explored conceptual understandings of community through light and dark matter have come to visit here again. And I explored this concept of time, and in COVID, when we were having lockdown, and I was like, my time, when do I get my time? And it almost made me laugh. I just went, well, what actually is my time? Like, what is it? Because I'm always in my body, like it is always my time. But how much am I listening to that body and allowing my movements to come from my time? Or how much am I letting other things like the clock or like my family or other things push me into out of my own time or out of my rhythm of time? And once I became a bit more aware of that and went, okay, I'm going to work on my time and I'm going to be in family on my time and it's all going to be my time. It was quite a revelation that I didn't need to have a break from anything. It was just about claiming my body back in the spaces that I was finding myself in, with the awareness that there's going to be pressures that are going to come at my body based on those things. So probably a lifetime practice. It's definitely an enjoyable one, and one that needs constant reminder in a world that doesn't listen to my time very much in what I'd say is maybe a truer sense of the words.
I love hearing you on that. That's some new things for me.
If anyone would like to share about my time for them, or if anyone feels to do writing, please do.
Do 5 minutes, 3 minutes?
Yeah. I think that'd be lovely. Any ponderings on my time?
Well, I'm having my time is time to eat because I was hungry. So I'm eating now. It's my time to eat.
Yay.
So I didn't think I could do it while I was doing this. I thought, oh, no, you can't eat. But then I thought, why not? I'm hungry. Yeah. I'm starving. So, yeah, it's good I could claim it and do it.
I forgot to check the clock time when I said 5 minutes, so we'll have to listen to bodies.
Would anyone like to share?
I'll share mine.
Yeah.
Okay, my time. Itchy bum in the car.
We all know that one.
Wet bum on seat from the seat outside. The car's air is warm and thick compared to the colder wind outside. I have no thought, lol. Do I have no thoughts because I'm more in my body? Body is breathing, chest in and out. This is my time away from the kids, or is it just me in time, in a place and in my body? I sound like Sarah. Love Simone's thoughts on my time. I resonated.
Oh, that's beautiful.
We'll have to frame that one.
Mm.
I love that the no thoughts has happened to me too. Yeah. I really freaked out about it the first time, to be honest, because you can't write a PhD that says I have no thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. That's great.
Did you want to share anything, Jodie or Jill?
No, not me.
Oh, Jodie, it looks like you're on mute, but I see that you're not.
Yeah, me. No sound for Jodie right now.
Yeah, but
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you go. That's better.
There you are.
no,
Yeah,
Yes.
is that better?
yeah, we can hear that.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's fiddled with enough buttons and something changes.
Yeah.
Oh god.
It's coming in and out, Jodie.
More thunder and rain coming. But then I did. I just went straight into thought rather than body, place, body, thought, body, place, body. So I'd like to redo that. But certainly the thought is, yes.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
No rules here. Just a
No, but it's such a lovely thing to do, and yeah, it'll take a little bit of reminding myself, but I think that it'll be something that I pick up as a habit before too long. Yeah, because I can see the way that it connects, where you are now to outside, then back again, then out again, and I just love that, the to and fro, the forcing the mind almost to zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out, a little bit like that. So I really like that. So I will do that, but I didn't in this case.
yeah, have thoughts to get out.
Yeah, so claiming the body back from all time, love that. And yeah, because I find that if I feel like withdrawing, it's because I'm not managing that, and seeing it like this, that can make it all the difference to feeling comfortable with, with everything that's going on, with all the things that are lovely to do, but which are not always got an easy feeling about them because of not being in the, of almost allowing people to body snatch, but that's not quite right either, but I think you know what I mean. So yeah, no, this is, I'm getting a lot out of that. But also a sensitivity to the joys of, probably to all feelings. So then all the information that the body is always sending, I guess, but which if you're not claiming my time as all time, then it's quite hard to read all of that information. Yeah, you know, the actual excitement of interacting with you guys, you know, that's an actual yeah, it's a palpable feeling, it's a real feeling. But if I was not, you know, being asked to feel or to see what the body's saying, that would, I'd miss out on that, and you know, therefore my interaction wouldn't be, you know, really me. And so I think I do that a lot. Yeah.
It's a way to get to yourself. Yeah.
And just that simple concept of my time and then clock time, it feels very effective and rational and solid, even though we're talking about something that's kind of not solid. Yeah, so interesting.
Thanks, Jodie.
Yeah, thank you. Love hearing from everybody. So fun.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
Family time. So we came to ask ourselves, oh, can you see my time in family time? There was something that I wrote. My end day walk was with my child. A sea eagle came by. Wow, never before in the area. What are you doing here? Co-researcher, is that you? The last I'd seen was up near your home. This child knows herself a bird, she tells me. My birth meditation imagined us a family of eagles. It helped me to look down and see many mothers and children still alive after childbirth. After each walk with child daily, as a baby, a black-shouldered kite would join us, but this bird was larger, flapping and awkward in her beauty, heading for the coast, drawn to the sea, just like we.
To open to conversation here, family replaces clock. Feel free to write with one or more of these questions floating around. How does family time work for you? What do you call that calls on family time? Why do you have families in your home? Purse, pocket, and wrist. What does family time gift you and take away? Where do you go that is structured by family time?
And I might just share a little context there about family. The post, I call them blog posts, but really the piece of writing I read out is an example of a time when I thought I was going for a walk on my own and Edie wanted to come. And the question for me is, and it's never solved, it depends where I'm at in my week and how much time I have had to get jobs done, and there's so much complex agitation and pressure here for me in this space between my time and family time. But what I'm noticing is that there's also a family time. That's a rhythm for my children where when I say yes to them coming for the walk, there is something that grows for us as a family and holds our connection. And then we'll come home and melt away from each other. And I started to notice that my time and family time can dance together. And they're really smooth for us when I allow that to happen in a way that Edie's my time speaks up to me and I respond with a yes. Sometimes I'm already past having not listened to my body, and I know that's when I have real trouble saying yes to the family time, when I'm grasping for the my time on my own. If I can get into a daily rhythm of family time, melt away into my time, we come back in and check in on each other back to family time. I really noticed there's something there for me there.
Or like a cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling we might keep going past this one, but if you do want to do a family time, body space writing, body place writing moment, please feel free to pause this one and come back. Yeah.
Dog time.
Mm-hmm. So one night we met up via Zoom for a relaxed chat between our two families over our 1,700 kilometres. And one of us asked Xanthia, how was your day today? And she replied in Max time. Max is our COVID puppy. We got him just before lockdown. Not that we realised we're going to lockdown. So we see this as family time expanded. There is a lot of research work going into giving children access to lives with other species daily, which is really fascinating work. And we noticed its importance with each other, sharing which animals we had at home and what they were up to. And this one time for Xanthia, each movement was for, of, and with Max and family. Another of us made this moving word animal as a gift. It tells dog time Xanthia's way. And, oh, sorry, yeah, you go.
And that's Max there.
In the middle, you can see, yeah. So, yeah, it's called multi-species theories. And Karen Malone wrote this in 2015. A child or a dog no longer defines difference, but seeks collective shared resemblances. How did child dogs in La Paz in Bolivia, where she did some research, exist in everyday environments, shaping and being shaped by each other and by other things? And there's also a lot of work done in this space, a lot of research work and writing by Paulina Rautio, Africa Taylor, and the Commonwealth Collective, and Donna Haraway.
When Max wakes up, which is normally really, really early in the morning, he goes into the office with Simone when she is doing some work. He just sleeps under Simone's desk. I wake up normally when the sun rises and a little bit after. That I get up and come downstairs. He normally is waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs, really excited, and just wants to hang out and play because he has not seen me for a long time. We go on a walk down the street. He has breakfast and then Simone starts work shortly after. He sleeps for a long time, and then in the afternoon he gets into play and read. He settles down after his dinner and is very calm. We then have dinner and normally does some journaling, and he comes and snuggles with us to rest and has a little sleep before it's time for Max to go to sleep. I put him to sleep when I go to bed. He loves this time. Every bit is exciting and fun. I love hanging out with him. Whatever it is, running, walking, seeing the neighbours, eating and patting. Every moment is beautiful and nice. Max cannot wait to see you all. Right now he is sleeping under Simone's desk. Max time.
And that was in an email you wrote to Sarah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you got that image. You did some, and you got the clock with the cross on it with some Google image searching or something. Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
And what you were saying before, It's Christy?
Yeah.
Yeah. About the cycles that just, when reading this just now, I went, yeah, it's, dogs are so in their bodies and they know the cycles of nature so well. It is like, it's like clockwork. He doesn't look at the time. He doesn't know it's 5 o'clock, I'm hungry for dinner, but sure enough, like it's on, and it's
Exactly.
it's really
the clock cycle.
Yeah.
During one of our conversations, Xanthia, you shared being on the computer for remote learning and that you really loved having the chance to be able to get up and go and play with Max under the table.
Yeah.
That's cute. Why wouldn't you?
Do you remember what you liked about it?
I did.
About playing with Max while you were in lockdown?
No.
I remember you saying that it was difficult sometimes to focus on the work and finish the task because Max was there wanting to play. He didn't quite know what you were doing at the computer.
Yeah.
You two sound like you have a really playful relationship.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm walking down the hallway, like maybe when I've just gotten home from school and just had a shower and coming down from downstairs, I'm walking down the hallway and he thinks I'm playing, and so he just jumps on me and gets his toys and tries to play.
Yeah, he really feels you as the playful one.
Yeah.
With me, he knows it's business.
Yeah.
Like, we're going for a walk, you're getting me dinner, like what's happening now? And
what are you doing for me?
yeah, exactly. With Xanthia, it's a really beautiful relation where it's very light and very playful and also very nurturing and firm when it needs to be. Yeah, you're not afraid to tell him when to cut it as well. Very cool. Yeah.
Is Max a puppy?
Yes. He's almost one. So
Almost
one.
It's pretty chill for a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite things that you guys did during lockdown when you were doing remote learning, you went and had a camp in a tram not far from your home with Max. That was another aspect of Max time.
Yeah.
Or family time, really. That really solided up your family of 4.
Yeah. And in that photo with me and Max, it's in black and white, so you can't see it very well, but behind it is in the tram. Yeah.
Did you like being able to go with Max on adventures while you were home with him and learning? Was it nice to be together?
Yeah. And then because he was a puppy and he was just used to us, like all 3 of us being at home, when I started going to school and my dad started going to work, he seemed like really unsettled and like he just wanted to see us. But then eventually he got used to it. And now that I go to school at 3 o'clock, my school bell rings at 3:10, but it takes 10 minutes to get to my school. And at 3 o'clock, he comes up to my mum and like tells her that it's time to go. And yeah, she goes.
Wow. So he's worked out the rhythm.
Yeah.
So his sense of time changes with what you do. You do set your body clocks against each other. That's cool. One of us referred often to rainbows. In response to that, my family messed with some words and turned them into a rainbow and sent it to Simone and Xanthia. And it became clear that listening and responding to each other was really important to the flow of time, by the way. That time could flow only when we were listening to each other, but not just listening, making time for each other and responding with saying okay or saying yes as much as possible. These 2 images were gifted to one another, They're made with words lifted of their linear meaning. We played freely with them and put them together to make new meanings, which is maybe a little bit of a metaphor for what we found during COVID lockdown. Time was put together differently. We spent time together differently, and it started to mean different things. Time diffracts into many dimensions, and we gain insights via Indigenous ways of knowing of time that understand time as circular and spiraling. This is what COVID showed us. In a circular motion without progress as linear obsession, there are no due dates, there were no pressures to get things done. Everything just goes on forever. The way one of us shared this made it sound like a fantasy place to the others, somewhere make-believe that does not and could not exist. But it does. Can we exist with no time on Earth is our question now. There's the two rainbows.
Yeah, that's amazing. Mm.
It's pretty special.
Yeah. Mm.
Simone wrote, we wrote in our paper that no time exists when the human body is guided by movements with and as nature. It troubles and disrupts the mass current of human bodies operating to the beat of clock time. The dominant paradigm of human bodies being propelled by the social constructs and impositions of material discursive forces. And that's a reference to Barad. Morris and Borched's experience no time as child time. It's a time of play that is all about relationality, an unnumbered movement, yet adults still fail to understand it and think that children need to move into a chronological, linear, irreversible time, one that perhaps they do not need to exist in even. And there are other references to see there also to Springo, Truman and Hoti. Paulina Rautio further confirms that children as young human beings have bodies that function and encounter the world much in the same sensory way as adults' bodies. These sensory functioning bodies hold a way of knowing the world that is no less than that of adults or non-human others. Xanthia's space of no time opens up ways that time can be reconceptualized through the eyes of someone living in this transitional time. Where there is awareness of what it is like to live without the impost, yet being able to see the storm of time on the horizon.
Yeah. We got so much to learn from Xanthia and Edie and all our kids, haven't we? Because they're just the ultimate people that just are in the moment, in play. I think it's important to point out play, isn't it? Because when we're playful, we've got no sense of time. And kids just love to play, don't they? So
yeah,
it's
yeah, here.
And we play in bodies, we don't play in minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And we feel pretty seriously about this. The last quote is not playful. It's about an Earth that really is desperate for us to do things differently. I read yours, Sim, so you want to read this one?
All time is calculable, laid out, the entirety of the past, all that lays behind us and the entirety of the future. Of all that is before us, starting with but one moment, any moment, all moments made equal. All time is no time at all. And that's from Karen Barad. She's a quantum theorist who writes in social science spaces now, and really challenges and pushes back against time.
Can I just read the quote that goes with that?
Yeah.
Simone's got. Oh,
you dropped off.
You dropped it. Barad wrote, one prediction for the end of time is uncertain, that it may end later. The other leaving absolutely no room for uncertainty, not a hair's breadth.
Do you want to do it now? Or do you feel to? No? You don't feel there's time for it? No? Okay. So again, if you want to pause, you can do some body place writing or blogging, but we'll continue.
Thanks, Xanthia. I agree.
Time is nothing.
I bet you have less or no clock time left with school back. You probably get home and want to play with dog and chill with your mum and dad, do some cooking or play. There was more room for this when we were in lockdown. That's a question. Happy to finish up the letters if so, or slow them down. Just say the word. Edie has noticed with all this talk of time, you know, when people say there's always tomorrow, well, it isn't true. People are dying every day. I think we need to have fun today in case tomorrow doesn't come. Xanthia, you replied.
Time is nothing.
It really does occur to us that children already know what we're working diligently to undo in ourselves, as Christy already aptly said, and that removing structures of time begins with us. And it's us here naming them, knowing their grasp.
Out of lockdown or lockdown. This morning we spoke of the 3 things that we would love to do most in life. I said family, a house and the trees. Listening and responding as families between young and old members in my place as home. We just got up and went and played. It was kind of letting go of time for love, for care, for being with others, to choose how we are going to be in the story. And maybe all that is needed is no time, a family, house and trees. We are uncertain this is so.
So, yeah, Sarah read that before. I'll read again to emphasise. One prediction for the end of time is uncertain. It may end later. The other leaving absolutely no room for uncertainty, not a hair's breadth. So we leave this as an agitation, and to finish on from Brad. And offer you some space out of lockdown or clock down. What else? What's next? How does it feel? And any final finishing is welcome.
We're conscious that since we wrote the paper, some of you have been in quite a restricted lockdown. Gillian, is that you?
Yes, we're out of it now, so it's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was didn't make too much difference to my life because I'm at home mostly anyway, but you know, except for going out for lunch with friends. So yeah. So I didn't notice it as much as other people would have, you know, or did.
I'm glad. Well, thank you all for being part of our...
Oh, thank you for having us. It was really good.
Yeah, thank you all for coming, and if you're listening on the recording as well, a big shout out and thank you for your interest in our work and being a part of this important conversation around time and philosophy and pedagogy and you know, time is challenging time as a way to challenge childism, to use the words of Karen Muris, and bringing more you know, respectful and authentic relationships between adult, child and other.
Here.
Yeah.
Can I say thank you so much for putting that together? That was absolutely gorgeous, and it'll be a real it would be a real privilege to share this with people who haven't been able to make it this afternoon. I wonder if you could, just before we go, give the citation for your paper that you refer to. I saw it when it came out, but others might not have. And together with what with the spoken word presentation that you put together just now and the paper together, that is such a huge contribution to the field, and you know, and just really, really heartwarming as well. Is that okay if you do that?
You can do, Jodie. Absolutely. Yep.
And we've got an edited version of our paper in the oh no, I've forgotten the name. What is it? In
knowledge cultures.
And in Aussie News.
Oh yeah, right.
Version through A²E².
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a little version there.
Yeah, there's a mini
little version.
Yep, that's the one I saw. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got a copy of the fuller version that we can send to you as a PDF.
That'd be really good, I think. Yeah.
We're very happy to share it out. So.
Yeah, because I certainly benefited from having a second go at thinking these things through, and the third time I know it's going to be even better. Thank you, especially the children who've worked with you to do this. It has added so much, and I'm sure that maybe they don't really, they might not appreciate how much extra they add, but I'll just say that they do. So thank you.
Thank you, Xanthia.
Yeah, thanks, Xanthia.
Yes, thanks, Xanthia.
All right. Love your thumbs up. Love your thumbs up. Let's see. That's a clap for you, Xanthia, because it is, I went to a conference last year or a year before in Canberra, and there was one child in this whole conference of education. And I was a bit mortified on behalf of children that people were speaking so much about them and what should happen to them. And there were none there speaking for themselves or feeling like safe enough to. I met a child outside a room, and I feel now like it was a little vision of what Edie was going to be, or who Edie was going to be like when she was 8, and she's 8 now. And this child was a homeschooled child, and her mum was presenting on homeschooling. And I didn't know that I'd homeschool at the time. But she was very happy to speak with me with a confidence I hadn't experienced with many children. And Xanthia, I feel really privileged to have this same really honest dialogue with you over putting this paper together. It's such a privilege because it's not a given. Thank you.
Yeah.